Dr. Velix pressed her four-fingered hands against the observation glass and watched the humans below with growing disbelief. The research station floated in orbit above Earth, and for 3 solar cycles, she had studied these strange creatures. Today, her findings would change everything the galactic community believed about survival and adaptation. The Galactic Council of Sciences had assigned her this task after first contact with humanity 5 years ago. Every species in the known universe had one thing in common. They evolved on stable worlds with predictable conditions. They built their civilizations on foundations of safety and certainty. When threatened with extinction, they collapsed. Their populations declined. Their societies crumbled. This was the natural order of things. But humans were different. Humans were terrifyingly different. Velix turned away from the window and walked to her research console. The holographic display flickered to life, showing decades of human history compressed into data streams and analysis charts. She had spent months trying to understand how a species could develop not just survival instincts, but an actual psychological adaptation to constant danger. Her assistant, a young Kervathi named Plix, entered the observation room. His blue scales reflected the artificial light as he approached her station. "The council is waiting for your presentation," he said. "They are very eager to hear your conclusions." Velix nodded slowly. "They will not believe what I have found." "I barely believe it myself." She gathered her data tablets and followed Plix through the curved corridors of the station. The presentation chamber was already filled with representatives from 12 different species. Their forms ranged from the crystalline bodies of the Shardith to the gaseous clouds of the Nebulari. All of them had one thing in common. They were afraid of humans now. They just did not understand why. Velix took her position at the central podium and activated the display system. A 3-dimensional image of Earth appeared before the assembly. "Distinguished colleagues," she began, "I present to you the most dangerous planet in the known galaxy, not because of its weapons or its technology, but because of what it has done to the species that evolved there." She gestured, and the display shifted to show Earth's geological history. This world experiences constant tectonic activity. The ground itself moves and shakes. Mountains rise and fall. Entire cities can be destroyed in moments by what they call earthquakes. The Shardith representative made a sound of horror. Her crystalline body vibrated with distress. "The planet's climate is equally unstable," Velix continued. "They have storms that can level entire regions. They have floods and droughts that occur without warning. The temperature varies so dramatically that the same location can experience frozen death in one season and burning heat in another. How can anything survive such conditions?" Asked the Nebulari cloud, its form swirling with confusion. "That is precisely what I asked myself," Velix replied. "But survival is not the remarkable part. The remarkable part is how they respond to these threats." She pulled up a new set of data. Humans do not simply endure danger. They have developed a psychological framework that allows them to function normally while facing constant existential risk. They call this framework many things: hope, determination, stubbornness. The display showed images from human history: volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, tsunamis, and in every image, humans were rebuilding. They were helping each other. They were smiling. "They laugh," Velix said, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. "They face the destruction of everything they know, and they laugh. They make jokes about their own deaths. They create art about their extinction. They write stories about the end of their world for entertainment." The council chamber fell silent. No one moved. No one spoke. "I have documented over 40 extinction-level events in human history," Velix continued. "Ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, pandemics that killed significant portions of their population. Each time, any other species would have declined into oblivion. The psychological trauma alone would be enough to destroy their will to reproduce. But humans did the opposite." She showed population charts that climbed steadily upward despite every catastrophe. After every disaster, their population increased. Their technology advanced faster. Their societies became more complex. It is as if danger itself fuels their progress. The Korvathi ambassador raised a scaled hand. Surely there must be some psychological cost. Some sign of species-wide trauma. Velix nodded. You would think so. And yes, individual humans suffer greatly from traumatic experiences. But here is what makes them unique. They have developed methods to process this trauma collectively. They share their stories of survival. They create monuments to their dead. They transform their pain into motivation to prevent future suffering. She pulled up recordings from Earth, videos of humans discussing their fears openly, support groups, therapy sessions, community gatherings after disasters. They talk about death constantly, Velix said. They are obsessed with it. They write about it, sing about it, make visual entertainment about every possible form of their extinction. We theorize this might be a form of mass psychosis, but our analysis shows the opposite. It is a coping mechanism that actually increases their resilience. The Shardith representative spoke again, her voice like grinding stones. You are saying they have adapted to fear itself. More than that, Velix replied. They have weaponized it. They use fear as motivation. They use the awareness of their mortality to drive them toward achievement. They have a saying that I find deeply disturbing in its implications. They say they want to leave the universe better than they found it, as if they have already accepted that the universe will continue without them. She paused to let that sink in. Every other species in the galaxy, she continued, when faced with the knowledge of inevitable death, experiences a decline in productivity and purpose. Why build if everything ends? Why create if nothing lasts? But humans have the opposite response. The knowledge of their finite existence makes them create more, build more, love more. They race against their own mortality as if it were a competition they could somehow win. The Nebulari ambassador swirled with agitation. This is deeply unsettling. You are describing a species that has no natural limit on its ambition. Precisely, Velix said. And this brings me to my most troubling finding. The display shifted to show human space exploration efforts, rockets launching, space stations being built, plans for colonizing other worlds. They know their planet will eventually become uninhabitable. Their own star will consume it in several billion years. Most species, upon learning this, would despair. They would see no point in continuing. But humans looked at this information, and their immediate response was to start planning how to leave. She showed images of children looking at the stars, scientists working on faster-than-light theories, engineers designing generation ships. They are not content to survive on their dangerous world. They want to spread across the galaxy. They want to ensure that even if Earth is destroyed, humanity will continue. This drive is not rational by our standards. It is not efficient, but it is unstoppable. The council members exchanged worried glances. There is one more thing you need to understand, Velix said. This adaptation to existential threat does not make them reckless, quite the opposite. Because they are so aware of how easily everything can be lost, they have developed powerful protective instincts. They form strong social bonds. They cooperate in ways that should be impossible for such an individualistic species. When disaster strikes, they do not scatter. They come together. She showed footage of humans helping strangers after natural disasters. Volunteers traveling across their world to assist those in need. People donating resources they could not afford to spare. They call this humanity, Velix said. Their word for compassion and kindness is their own species name. They have made care for others the defining characteristic of their identity. The Korvathi ambassador leaned forward. You said this study would have implications for the galactic community. What are those implications? Velix took a deep breath. The implications are significant. We have always believed that stability was necessary for advancement. That species needed safe environments to develop technology and culture. But humans proved that the opposite can also be true. Danger and hardship can create something unprecedented. A species that does not merely survive threats but thrives because of them. She deactivated the display and faced the council directly. My recommendation is that we treat humans not as a curiosity, but as a potential model. Many of our civilizations are facing slow declines. Our populations are decreasing. Our ambition is fading. We have become so comfortable that we have forgotten how to struggle. Humans could teach us how to find purpose in uncertainty, how to transform fear into motivation, how to face the void and not blink. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some voices expressed fear. Others expressed hope. But all of them understood that the galaxy would never look at these strange, dangerous creatures the same way again. Later that evening, Velix stood alone at the observation window once more. Below her, Earth turned slowly in the darkness. Somewhere on that world, humans were facing another day of potential disasters. Earthquakes, storms, disease, war, and yet they were also falling in love, having children, building homes, and dreaming of the stars. She thought about her own species, the Valaxi, who had not faced a serious threat in 10,000 years. Their population was declining. Their art was stagnant. Their young people saw no point in having children because they had no challenges to overcome. They had achieved perfect safety, and it was slowly killing them. Perhaps she thought the humans had something to teach them all. Perhaps the secret to life was not avoiding danger, but learning to dance with it. To look at the darkness and choose to light a fire anyway. To know that everything ends and decide that this made every moment more precious rather than less. She pressed her hand against the glass one more time. Remarkable creatures, she whispered. Absolutely remarkable. The stars shone down on Earth, and somewhere below, a human was looking up at them and wondering what was out there. Not because they had to, not because it was safe, but because they refused to accept that anything was impossible. That, Velix realized, was the most human thing of all.